The Retro Buzz starts right after this.
Hey guys, it's time for a special edition of the Retro Buzz. We've got an exciting show for you, but joining us, we've got Mr. Glenn Planamento in his virtual reality.
Waking me up at 3 a.m., man. I don't know. And this is a special edition, but 3 a.m. really? Okay.
Well, hey, you got to
Barely
get the
awake.
you got to get the jump. You wanted to be first, right?
Yeah, but that was with that woman I had the other night, but it didn't work out. But whatever.
We've also got Mr. Cool Toy Douglas Smith himself.
It's early as always, but I do have my nightcap on as always, so I'll be all right.
Hey, you got to look good. But hey, AtGames shot us an email. We've got some
yes,
finally some answers.
A big one.
A big one. So do we want to just kind of dive into this and take a look at what magic they brought to our email? We've got Legends Pinball.
Finally.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yes, I mean, we've all been waiting on bated breath. Everyone's been speculating, hoping, and just trying to guess what this is going to be, and we finally got some answers to talk about today.
I think this is going to be awesome because we've got it all laid out here for us. It's going to have the built-in native run 22 tables, universal pinball content. The whole ecosystem, I think, is cool that they're keeping everything in the ecosystem on all the devices across it. Whether you like Apple or hate Apple, they're doing something similar to Apple does.
I hate Apple. I do hate Apple, but as I've said many times before, AtGames has become like the Tesla of the industry, where it's online content, it's upgradable, and the experience, there's that magic word, the experience on all their new platforms. The new platforms are going to be pretty much the same. So that's actually really cool.
And if we want
current owners, they don't feel like they're left out in the wind or anything like that. If you've got the ALU, the 1.1 or the 1.0 or the Gamer Pro or anything like that, you can play these pinball games and set up high scores and things like that on par with everybody that's got this new pinball machine as well.
And Doug, you hit the nail on the head right there. It even says at the bottom of this, it says they're going to launch the pinball leagues. What do you guys think of that? I mean, we've been doing it with the Legends Ultimate, but I mean now this is a first for pinball.
Absolutely. I agree. And if I get a score, I actually want it shown on the Legends Center. Okay, I'm gonna have to wait like 6 months. But it's really cool. I mean, pinball is not something you normally would think of as having leaderboards and that. So that's actually a really cool thing because, as we talked about before, when you're playing other people trying to get that high score, it really builds, some camaraderie and good, clean fun to try to get that high score in the game.
Absolutely. And you got those people that have already been, working through the leaderboards on some of these, pinball UCE tables out there, and they don't have to worry about it getting erased or anything like that. They've got new competition coming after those high scores now. So that's really cool to see. It's very forward thinking and it's very progressive, and I'm very happy to see that from AtGames.
So, Doug, take us through what's the universal pinball content plan?
Oh, there's a lot of it. So you get your 22 built-in tables, your known and loved real-world tables that we know from Gottlieb, and then we've got 207 Steam tables supported. We got 38 from Pinball Arcade from Farsight Studios. We got the Williams Bally that if you previously had those through Steam, you're going to be able to access those as well. Then we got Zachariah Pinball, 108 tables there. So, I mean, just tons and tons of options for streaming and local play on your pinball machine. 20 virtual pinball and future pinball tables for your local pinball OOS streaming at launch. And more to be added, mobile apps. So things like Amazon Fire Stick and your Android applications that support pinball, you're going to be able to play those through this pinball machine as well. I mean, literally, you're going to have more pinball tables that you know what to do with on this machine.
And I knew you were a big advocator for the Fire Stick originally with
Mhm.
the Legends Ultimate. Now they're doing that as well right out of the gate with the
Yep.
pinball. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it all goes back to that like forward thinking and just building this large, massive ecosystem for everybody. That way, there's just there's something for everybody. If you don't like playing the Steam tables, maybe you want to go Pinball Arcade through Android. Maybe you bought a bunch of these games and tables already on your phone. You're going to be able to translate and transfer that type of data in those tables over to this pinball machine, which is going to be very helpful to the consumer because that means they don't have to double dip and then rebuy all their favorite tables all over again.
Glenn, what about you? What's your take on that? I mean, you've been playing Steam, and you said pinball's so hard to set up. If you're going to build your table, how easy is this going to be for people out there to to get the tables that they want on the system?
Well, yeah, that's one of the really cool things that AtGames has been doing here is they're doing it and making it as easy as possible for the end user. Virtual Pinman, Virtual Pinball. You can buy machines pre-set up, but if you're doing it on your own, it's very complicated. You really wouldn't think it would be because they're such simple things, but to set it up, the floor, the ROM, the table and the machine, and your machine being powerful enough, which is the bigger thing. It's really surprising how much horsepower is needed by a computer to do pinball. Well, you can get away with a lot less doing like a PlayStation or Dreamcast, even N64. So those two things alone are a big deal, and being pre-set up for your machine. So when you're going to play these 200 plus games, and that's just mind blowing as well, that there's going to be a ton of content because, like anyone will tell you, you can buy the best hardware, but if you don't have anything to do with it, what good is it?
Mm-hmm.
So AtGames have been very, very smart and talking to both developers of commercial products and homebrew, because they're also getting tables being made like Leprechaun. They're making their own kind of tables being available here to make sure there'll be a ton of content for people to play. There'll be something for everybody on this machine.
Now,
actually, all the machines, it's all the same, and all the machines they have.
You have been into manufacturing. You have been doing your own manufacturing and everything, and so you have been the godfather to the community. So tell us, when is this launching? When are we going to finally see that?
My understanding is we could start seeing them at the end of, well, around Christmas time. So I would say end of December, but Christmas time. So hopefully before the holidays, so people could actually get it and have it under the tree. But worst case scenario, if I get it anytime in 2020, that'll make a big change this year for me.
And the availability looks like it's .com only, and
right.
Doug, what do you think about the supply? I mean, there's notes here that it's going to be undersupplied. I mean, people should get out there and get it, right?
Yeah, if you want it, don't sleep on it. Absolutely. I mean, this is just going to be like the original AtGames Legends Ultimate Arcade cabinet release. It came out towards the end of the year, October, November time. It was very short supply. People slept on it and said, "Oh, I don't know about this," and then they found out, "Oh, wow, it's a fantastic machine. I want this," and they had to wait months and months and months until the supply was able to come back in stock and they were able to get some. It's going to be the same thing with the pinball machine, probably more so because I think more people are excited and know about this, so there's more and more demand. Plus you got complications like COVID going around where there's already supply constraints out there in the world. So you're definitely going to want to get your pre-order in as fast as possible to ensure that you have a chance of getting it in 2020. And if you do miss out in 2020, just be forewarned that you may have to wait a little bit, but you will be able to get this in 2021 without a problem.
Right. And the best way to get it in their hands is to go .com direct versus have to ship them to, a Walmart or a Sam's Club and then selling it from there. This is the fastest way they're going to be able to get it to the public.
Yeah, less handoffs.
Yeah, I think it'll be really cool. And you know what? They've been saying all along that we're going to get it this year, and a lot of people were doubting. A lot of people said that we're not going to see it, and it seems like all the companies are trying to get it out there this year, which is great. That's what people want. They want it for the holiday. Speaking of that, okay, there is a bunch of companies out there, and I'm not trying to be like another guy that we know that uses spreadsheets, but we have a spreadsheet here. So this is my hat tip to P-dubs here. But I'm going to zoom in on this, so don't worry, you guys don't have to strain. But right now there are some heavy hitters in the pinball field. We have obviously the Legends Pinball, the Toy Shock Gen 1 or Gen 2, however you want to do it. Arcade 1-Up Pinball. Sorry, I'm getting a notification there, so we'll just bypass that. Well-played games, which, Doug, you're very familiar with. You kind of saw that. So we're obviously not going to go through this in its entirety, but I know there were some things you wanted to touch on.
You can see right along the prices. I don't mean to cut you off there, but
No,
the prices are all pretty. They're all pretty comparable to one another. But if you look at that, it's not so much the price, but look at the size. I mean, the AtGames is coming about 80 to 90% of a full-size cabinet. That could be a plus or a minus. If you have space, obviously that's going to give you the most real experience to a pinball machine. The others are all 3/4 scale. But if you have limited on space with someone like me, where I got 600 things in my house, it could be beneficial to go smaller. But just look at the price, though. We're talking $5.99. Now we know that the Arcade 1-Up was recently been talked about. Am I wrong about $5? They're still maybe thinking $5.50.
$5.50, yeah, somewhere around there.
Right. So we kind of know that price range. You're talking a $50 difference, but you're getting a 32-inch, play field, which is huge. I mean, that's just. When you want to play pinball, you need and want to have the visuals in front of you like that. So I think that's pretty neat to see how they're going to pull that off with the monitor. And they're really, really claiming 60 frames per second. So I'm dying to see how well they've optimized at 1080p, how they've optimized not only their tables, but the other parties' tables to play on this machine at 60 frames per second at 1080p. I'm dying to see how that comes out.
Yeah. Because you hit the nail on the head. Not only do they have the biggest screen available in the market right now, that 1080p 60 frames per second is also going to help separate them from the playing field, so to speak, as well as that secondary screen. Was it a 14-inch LCD we got back there for the DMD backboard? So that's going to be bigger than the competition as well, helping them, again, stand out from others in the marketplace.
Right. They're calling that the Glenn edition.
And they did state to us in the meeting that we had. Now they show the poundage here, Doug, at 64.3 pounds, but we were told that it was 150 pounds. Am I correct?
Right.
Yeah. So then that goes back to that approximation of the 80 to 90% of the full scale pinball machine. So this is going to be a bigger bad boy. So if you are putting it underneath the Christmas tree, you may just have to put the Christmas tree on top of this box, because it is going to take up some space, and it is going to be a little bit heftier than what you're probably accustomed to with these smaller 3/4 scale arcade cabinets and machines.
Right. And again, that could be a plus or a minus again, depending on, do you have someone to help you move the machine around? Because at 150, it's a sizable thing. It's not going to be easy to grab. You're going to definitely want two people to help you. Do you have someone who can help you move this thing around? So again, a plus or a minus.
And Glenn, one of the big things that has been debatable in all these pinball machines has been the glass overlay versus the acrylic overlay. Tell everybody why it's important that it be glass and not acrylic.
Well, I have to say I'm still hoping for transparent aluminum. That's my first wish for here. But yeah, when you're talking about a cocktail cabinet or pinball machine, it's just the nature of the game that people are going to put their drinks on it. They're going to be when you're dusting it, there'll be you don't want to have scratches, because once you start looking at the machine, you're looking down on this table. You don't want to see all these scratches and swirl marks in your display. And acrylic is infamously soft. It scratches very, very easy. So I'm really hoping they're going with something like, even if you go thick, people say, I'll get a thicker piece of plexiglass. It doesn't matter how thick it is. It's just a soft material that, unless you're very careful with it, is going to scratch. Now, glass is, of course, not impervious to scratching, but it's definitely much less susceptible to it. And again, putting a beer down there, or just your kids coming around, I have a dog, Doug's got dogs, not saying they're going to jump on it, but you never know.
I have cats.
Glass is definitely what you prefer.
I have cats, and they jump on my toy shock.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
if you've got a cat, you're accustomed to them jumping up and sleeping on and wherever they please at whatever time. So if you're a cat owner and you've got this pinball machine, you're definitely going to prefer glass over acrylic just for that case alone.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, I'm knocking stuff all over the place here, but I'm telling you, I have, I keep this around all the time. It's a transparent. My Novus scratch remover.
Yeah, push it up against.
Incredibly invisible right now.
No, push it forward more. There you go. No, well,
there we go.
There, it was there.
Well, it still works. Anyway, it's called Novus number 5. It's a plastic polish, but you know what? It still is not going to be ideal. When you want something that's going to be robust and not take those scratches, rather than have to worry about taking the scratches out later.
I think the other big thing with this is, and guys, I'll pull it up I know it's hard to see it because it's an actual chart, but I'm sure AtGames will have this on their website. But the USB streaming for add-on games plus play non-pinball games, that is something that is on this list that I'm kind of curious about what they mean by that. Play non-pinball games. Are they gonna make this a universal machine, kind of like what they did with the Legends Ultimate, right? Where you can play pinball games on the Legends. Are they gonna do the opposite? Which I don't know how they would do that, but according to this chart, that's kind of what they're thinking. So none of the other tables can do any of that.
Yeah.
So
Well, none of the
remember
other
what they
tables have
said.
that Wi-Fi or the internet
Right.
connectivity to even start that down the road. So that's one thing. This is already ahead of the game. It's going to have Wi-Fi connectivity. It's going to have that, internet support for the leaderboards and things like that. So they can, add on features as this goes. It's not just going to be, as good as it gets right out of the box. It's going to continue to grow, just like the Legends Ultimate cabinet continued to grow and add features down the line. So will the pinball machine.
Yeah.
Right. And remember what they said. This is like a universal ecosystem.
Yep.
So what's going to run on one is going to run on the other. Now, you may have only, part of that screen playfield being used, obviously, because the screen is, it's not horizontal, it's landscapes. But, Bluetooth is built in, use Bluetooth controllers. So I think it's very doable. Again, it's just the fact that they are doing it and they're trying to make it an experience pretty much equal between all of them. You want to play some pinball? Fine. You want to play some Space Invaders? You could do that too.
What about?
Yeah.
You said Bluetooth, Doug. What do you think about like a Switch connecting to it, or say an Xbox controller or something? Like if you didn't want to use the pinball buttons, right?
Oh yeah, that'd be another fantastic option. And like you mentioned with the Switch has a bunch of awesome, amazing pinball games. So if you can get the Switch integrated in there natively and start playing it on the cabinet, whether it be off the controller or off the built-in controls on the pinball machine, then you've yet again even expanded even more awesome tables to your machine. So I like that idea. Using an Xbox controller to play something like Space Invaders or some shmups that you potentially added to that. I mean, that's pretty cool for a different vertical cabinet kind of setup.
Yeah.
I don't like that idea. I got to take my Switch out of the box. Then that thing's been in the box since
One of
launch
these
day. I don't want to
days,
take it out.
one of
Yeah.
these days, we're
It's a
going to
good
get you to
opportunity
do
for you.
that. That's right. So if you guys are watching this right now, Glenn's going to go over the game list here. But if you're watching this, leave your comments below. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what you have to say about what we're talking about right now with these Legends pinball. But Glenn, as far as the 22 built-in tables, what are
they
we
have
looking at?
Gottlieb again. Gottlieb games, good games. I mean, for me personally, Black Hole and Haunted House are definitely my two go-tos right off the top of the hat. Now, these are, again, tables that are on the older side, but doesn't mean old isn't fun. Look at me. I'm old, but I'm still a lot of fun, right?
No argument.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
But you can see here, there's a good listing here. There really is.
I really like the class of 1812, and I was a big fan of Going Nuts because I obviously
Yes.
it's not a secret, right? These are tables that are on the Toy Shock. These are we're not gonna we're not gonna oversight that, right? They're on there, so I play them now. The difference is, Doug, you mentioned it earlier, 1080p 60 frames versus 720 almost 30 frames until I get the new board. Almost 30 frames.
Yeah, I was about to say, assume it without any input delays or latency issues, things like that as well. So, the elephant in the room here is that Toy Shock has some of these games, but this has all of the games that the Toy Shock doesn't. So, if you're already a current owner of the Toy Shock, you're missing out on some features and some expanded playability options. But if you're just one of those games, well, then you're already set in stone here. But for Gottlieb fans that didn't pick up the Toy Shock, then you might want to look at this AtGames table.
Right. And this is just the games built in. Take it home, plug it in. They're there. You have a multitude of games you can still play on top of that. But I think 22 built-in games already out of the box is a win. And then you can add more and play more in all these different ways and fashions.
And Doug, you're a big fan of the Steam tables and whatnot. So why don't you talk a little bit about the Pinball Arcade that's going to be also available on it?
So Pinball Arcade, it's going to have a lot of your IPs that you're familiar with, things like Ghostbusters, Phantom of the Opera, Frankenstein. It's got a bunch of other celebrity movie tables, things like that. I've always been a fan of Pinball Arcade. The Stern family of pinball is just, top notch. Everyone loves their tables. Zen Studios, it's not for everybody. Sometimes some people just don't like the fact that it's a little overtly animated. It's never bothered me purposely, but I know some people prefer tables that are really based on actual tables that existed, in the arcades and the pinball pool houses and things like that. So Pinball Arcade, Gottlieb, things that you're going to be familiar with that are actually real physical pinball tables and not animated creations. That's something that you're going to be able to get right out of the box.
And what about
You know what that tells me? You know what that tells me? It's better to have options than not at all.
Spoken like a true
wise man once said.
Yes, that's right. So what about Glenn, what do you think? The VPX and Future Pinball, or the PUCEs, for those that aren't aware of what you can do with the AtGames. What do you think of this, bringing on these additional tables here?
Again, it's adding more content, making this that much better of a deal. I mean, you're paying a little bit more for that machine, but you're getting bigger screens, and you're getting many more games and tables and ways to put them on the machine, which, you can't please everyone. You can't. But if you give a bunch of different options, the chances of you, clicking with someone gets even better. I mean, like right there, I'm seeing, a lot of good games on here that I would love to play. Dark Quest, I would love to play that. Frogster, I never played that, but that looks interesting. It's just another way to add some content. Again, the current generation, the younger people, don't know too much about the physical old pinball machines that I would have played, right? So these are games that they would probably enjoy more than playing, the Gottlieb games. So this is something that would draw them in, and possibly then get them into the fold of pinball, and then want to see those older games. Which I kind of do on the dates. I go with the younger women, hoping maybe their mothers get involved, and I switch over to them. You got to do what you got to do.
Upgrade, yeah.
You upgrade. You got to do it. Exactly.
Well, it's kind of funny, Glenn's little segue there, but I mean, going from machine to machine and upgrading, downgrading, depending on what you're doing. Let's look at this UI. The UI resembles a lot of what we seen with the vertical and horizontal versions of the Legends Ultimate, with the Gamer, that you can turn your monitor horizontally or vertically. You now have this, and this is what they're showing you with what looks like a hidden menu system that pops in and out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and this is something that's grown over time from the Legends, 1.0, and they've got a lot of feedback to improve this, and it's gotten quite good now. It's fairly intuitive. It's very easy to see what's going on the screen, and you can see you have ArcadeNet, bring your own games, settings, tables, a lot of options in here to play with. Can't wait.
Doug, what do you think?
And it's going to be really good for existing owners. More often than not, anytime we get a new piece of technology, one of the worst things is learning how to use it all over again. But if you're already a Legends Ultimate user or an owner, a gamer pro, gamer mini, all those type of devices, you're already going to be familiar with the user interface that AtGames has been presenting for the last year. So you're going to be right at home. You're not going to have to waste 30 minutes trying to figure out where things are, how to do things. You're just going to be able to turn on the power, go, okay, this looks familiar. I know how to work this, and you're going to be ready to go and play some pinball.
Now,
just like us Android users, we got the same experience at every single version of Android. It's all the same, right?
No? Yeah, if only you had the ecosystem. If only.
There you go.
So now this is the part that everybody's been waiting for, the unveiling of what the pinball will look like. And before we get into specs of this, let's just put it up on the screen. We won't say a word. We'll just leave it here for a few seconds and let everybody just kind of take it in. And then we'll give you the lowdown here on this. But there it is in all her glory.
Or his glory.
Or his glory. All right. So Doug,
yeah, it might be a dude pinball table. You don't know.
First glance, minus the changes that they did tell us, because this is not the actual rendering. What's your first initial takeaway from that? Do you like it?
And my first
hate it?
Initial takeaway is it looks like a pinball machine, which is great. No, I mean, you can see stark differences just looking at it over the competition. The additional 14-inch screen there on the back box, the dual speakers, the larger play field, the thin bezel, which is nice. That's something that it looks like, a 1-inch bezel all the way around the play field. It does have a pretty prominent graphic on it. That's kind of on par with the AtGames Legends Ultimate. I'm not a big fan of the graphics, honestly, myself, but that's something that's easily remedied in the third party, so that's not going to bother me a bit. But it's a pinball machine, and I'm happy for it. Like I said, I'm really most excited about the thin bezel.
Okay.
That's literally finally, yes, do that. People are listening.
Glenn, what's your initial reaction? I want to get the reaction. What is it?
My initial reaction is I don't see any Kathleen Kennedy artwork on it, so already I'm digging it. Okay. No, but and honestly, I mean, it's a nice design. They talked to us a little bit. We were talking to them about it, that the slant from the back of the pinball machine to the front may not be that pronounced, and this is just a rendering. It's not the actual, the machine itself, so that the slant may not be that much that you're seeing there. But I'm also, again, the Legends Ultimate. I was never a huge fan of the artwork. It wasn't bad. It wasn't something that suckered me into it. And this artwork here, it's kind of generic, which again is okay. I do like on the top. I see the haunted house, on the top of it, so I'm okay with that. But the beauty thing is that if the artwork is not to your liking, there it is right there. See, haunted house, love that.
I'm gonna see if I can get the graphics so you guys can see them a little closer.
The artwork is always something that can be done again, and in the communities that we're in, that people will change artwork out. But again, it's not like offensive. It looks like a pinball machine, which is fine. But again, it's not one pinball machine. It's technically about 200 pinball machines. So what artwork do you put on that? For most people, they'd probably be fine with that. But if you're a fan of a certain pinball machine, you're going to reskin it anyway. So as long as the machine's got a good play field, you got good frames per second, you have, the way to tilt the machine, or not tilt the machine, move it without tilting the machine, because you don't want to do that. That's the important thing. The plunger, how the buttons feel, that stuff you really don't want to have to change. And the good thing about the Legends Ultimate is that the controls, some people still want to replace them, but they're not bad. Most people are fine leaving it way they were. So I'm kind of hoping that they'll use the same type of buttons on this machine, where people be like, you know what, it's good enough. I could change it if I want to, but the artwork is something I think would be a little more personal to the individual.
Absolutely.
And you guys are probably not going to agree with it, but I kind of like the way the artwork is. I mean, I'm not a fan of necessarily what games they chose for the artwork, but I do like the way they did it compared to the Legends Ultimate. If I was going to be completely honest, because I think there's a lot of dead space on the Legends Ultimate that could have been covered. But again, it's a multiple pinball, like Glenn, like you said, and I think that they did a good job of covering it. I do think it's a little busy, but like Doug, you said, it could be remedied by putting another graphic, which I think a lot of us are going to do. But there's one thing that I don't know if you caught your guys' eye, but it caught my eye in the rendering, and I hope it's just the rendering and button position. I'm not a fan of the nudge and flipper buttons being horizontal as opposed to vertical, like I'm used to.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a personal preference on how people are accustomed to playing pinball. Some people are going to have that vertical orientation. Some people are going to have that. I've seen it both ways on certain tables. It's just going to be a personal preference type thing. I get what you're saying. You're probably already used to, what was it, the Toy Shock?
Yeah, the Toy Shock has them where
Well, that's your fault.
They're top and bottom. But I mean, a lot of the digital pinballs that I've played at other arcades also are top and bottom. So
well, you think about it, your hand is going to be like this versus your hand is going to be like that. So when you hold the machine, I get what you're saying. It'd be more comfortable that way, but it's just a rendering. It's not the final.
No, and that's why I'm saying I'm hoping that is the case, that it's not. And the other thing, I don't know if anybody took notice of, if you guys noticed it on here.
What do you expect, a gadget?
Well, I've kind of been analyzing this just because I'm trying to see. If you noticed in the front, they actually put, let me scroll over here. They actually have like 4 buttons, and it goes red, blue, and then the plunger's really nice, and then on the side. But if you look at this side, it's actually, it looked green before when it was zoomed out, but I thought they did green, red. Sorry, that was my bad, because at the rendering here, it looks green. If you look at it, it looks green. So, but anyways, I was wondering if there was any kind of reason that they were making certain things certain colors you know, I know Toy Shock kind of had their own that kind of went with the theme. I didn't know if it was just an easy way to identify it because like they don't have the gamer, they have the AtGames button. I'm sure we're going to see that probably on this because this is a render.
Yeah.
But I like the idea that they said the slant won't be as pronounced because when I first looked at that, I was kind of like, that's really, yeah. I was kind of like,
Drinks going
wow.
off. You know why your drink's sliding off your pool, your pinball table? You know, you don't want that. But they did say that that rendering was much more pronounced than it actually is. So that should not be a problem.
Yeah, it's not going to be a ski slope. So
yeah,
that's good.
So Doug, take us through this ecosystem here that they've got set up now for the pinball entertainment.
Yeah, so like we mentioned earlier, if you're already a AtGames Legends Ultimate cabinet owner, whether it be the 1.0, the 1.1, whether you bought one of their new devices like the Gamer Pro, the Gamer Mini that I believe is getting ready to come out, the Legends Connect that's slated to come out very soon. I mean, all these devices allow you to play pinball games on your cabinet. So if you don't want to, or if you don't have the money to go out and spend the $600 for this cabinet, or maybe you miss out on the pre-order window and you have to wait till 2021, you're not left out in the wind. You can still enjoy and play these pinball games and compete in things like the leaderboards and the high scores and things like that, and still, have some pinball action on your ecosystem, your devices, everything you already own in the AtGames family.
And Glenn, you were one that introduced basically the arcade industry to Al, who made the Pixelcade. But if you noticed on this video, on this picture here, they state that the Bit LCD, which is basically Al's LCD marquee, will work as a second screen in Q2 of 2021 to add maybe like a DMD. I'm thinking for the pinball.
Right, a big one. Yeah, it's got to be.
What do you think of that?
And it'll be nice. It's already. I've already been playing on my head. I'll have to add that. So, yeah. I mean, Al's screen is awesome. I love it on my Legends Ultimate. It's on even when my machines are off. Al's thing is on. It's just
I leave it on too.
So it's just on. So I would love to add that to it. And and if you have like the the Legends, I can't see my eyes here. The Gamer Pro or something like that. Add that just to have the DMD if you don't have access to screens. It'd be just kind of neat to have. And again, I said it before, I said it again, it's good to have the option. You don't want it, you don't need it. But if you want to add it, it's just nice to have the ability. It's always better to have more options than not. It just is.
And leaderboards and leagues, something we haven't covered really in depth. I mean, look at this list. A total of 80 leaderboards at launch. Farsight built-in 22 local, Farsight Pinball Arcade 38 streamed, PUCE's 20. All Legends ecosystem owners can join. I don't think people understand that. Doug, if you didn't want the pinball and you had the Legends Ultimate and you were playing me, say, in Leprechaun King, and I had the pinball and Glenn had the gamer, we can do it.
I can be just as competitive with you as, on my arcade cabinet with you playing on your pinball machine. It doesn't matter. The score is going to be the score. The best player is going to win no matter what device they're going to be playing on.
And
see, I just thought of a feature for this too when we're doing something like this, because if you were playing a real pinball machine, right, and Doug got a good score going, I could bump his table and knock that ball on the machine. We need some. I need to be able to go on my Legends Connect and hit a button and tilt his game and knock him out.
Well, I think with this,
nefarious.
If you guys also saw here, going on Glenn's statement there, it supports team play and party play. Maybe that's the idea.
Right.
So maybe just maybe, the Retro Buzz crew needs to take on the Super Game Room dudes once we all get our pinball machines and show them what's up.
Gauntlet.
We're
Glove
calling
is thrown down. It's a challenge, absolutely.
That's going to be something that we'll have to stream, and we'll have it. But that's the cool part, right? None of the other pinball machines are doing that.
Yeah, well, like you said,
we'll get Rexor on our side too that day. When we play, we'll get Rexor to join us.
Sounds good there.
But like you mentioned, we can stream this. You can stream the content from the pinball machine, which is amazing. That's something we've always enjoyed doing on our Legends Ultimate arcade cabinets, and it's something we'll be able to do on the pinball machine, which is equally, fascinating and appealing to me because, as a content creator, it's so much easier for me to create content and show the content if I've got some HDMI access as opposed to hovering a camera above a playfield and having a shadow and all that thing being projected onto my screen.
And I think that's one thing we all lucked out with the Legends Ultimate version 1. Sorry, version 1.1 guys. We have access to the HDMI, and that kind of sealed the deal for me to not upgrade to the 1.1. So hopefully a 2.0 Legends Ultimate has HDMI back. I mean, I get why they did it, but this is something 100% is awesome. But Glenn, this is something that they're not even this isn't a maybe. They've been working on a schedule, right?
More than I ever do.
Glenn, you guys couldn't see it, but Glenn's sitting there looking at it going, well, man, I have a date that night.
Yeah,
I do. I got a date every day, every night, every one shown here. I got a date lined up. Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
a date with pinball. That's what you're saying.
A date. There you go. But they're making a conscious effort. You guys can see that to do some calendar for some pinball entertainment for leagues. This is really awesome.
Engagement. It's really saying engagement for the community and the people who buy their products, which is fantastic. You know, it's one thing to build something, sell it, and you move on, but they're selling it and trying to keep the people person engaged. You know, to be not only part of the community of retro gamers, but part of the AtGames community, and they're really trying to just try to show everyone that they're caring about what they want, and they're trying to give them that content. And they've also been very responsive too. When there's been some criticism, they've said okay, and they've pretty much addressed everything that's come down the pipe. So AtGames from like 5 years ago is very different than AtGames over the past year and a half, 2 years. And it's amazing to see how, being in some of the Facebook groups that I'm in, because I have like a billion of them, to see how everyone talked about AtGames before in such a negative way. And it's now a complete 180 where people they're looking for this machine. They're trying to get the machine. Why can't I get this machine? Yep. And that's something special when you see a company do that. And it's partially because of how they've been very engaged with their users.
I agree.
And it speaks to the added value, them constantly adding, firmware updates that allow for different features, the leaderboards, things like that. That adds value to the consumer, because let's be honest, $599 is a lot of money for most people. So if you're going to plunk down that much cash, you want to make sure that you're getting, your money's worth. And the fact that this is going to continue to expand and grow and have all these other features is really going to make the consumers feel much more confident in their $600 purchases.
And they also put together a really cool FAQ. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but they happened to put a number 15 on there. And he did that on purpose because he said it was just for me. And it really disappointed me. But we'll put this up here.
What?
Yes.
What's the best option on the whole list?
But here's a lot of questions that you're probably asking yourself, guys. And if you want, we're not going to go through every single one. But you can pause the video, read these questions, and see if your question is on there. But one of the things that we were kind of busting Arcade 1-Up's chops about was the 14-day warranty that they were doing with their tabletop game system. Well, you're getting 30 days here with AtGames. So, but the adjustable height, you get 2 inches, which is, I was kind of wondering, how much movement we have. And unfortunately, there will be a jukebox feature.
I'm going to use it all the time.
Yep.
But yeah. So you guys can go over that. Yeah. What do you say?
Yeah, you can play "Rocking Around the Christmas Tree" on loop as you unbox it.
So final takeaways, guys. I think I'm curious to see. Doug, is this something that you're going to pre-order? Is this something that you're going to hopefully get as soon as it comes out for pre-orders?
Yeah, I'll absolutely 100% pre-order it day one, the moment it drops, just because I know how, number one, again, how difficult this is going to be to get in 2020. So I don't want to wait. Just looking at the specs, showdown, and everything, it's got all the bells and whistles I could possibly hope for and dream for. The expansion capabilities, the number of tables built in, as well as the ability to play other tables that I already own on things like Steam. I mean, this is a no-brainer for me. I'm definitely picking this up.
Glenn?
It's got a jukebox feature. Hello. Why would I not?
I think he did that on purpose, because I don't know. You know, I could see it with
Asking you shall receive.
you know, I could see him doing, like I had mentioned to him. I'm just going to throw it out there because I want to see what you guys say in the chat room here. Leave a comment. I told him he should do a game table and do it right. That I could see having a jukebox feature, because if you remember, Microsoft tried to do that once before. They tried to do a game table for hotels where they put it in that where you could set your device down, it would automatically charge. Those are some features that are missing from tables like that. So AtGames, we need stuff like that. We want to put our phones down with a charger built in that we can charge it, because people are going to do that.
Yep.
Have it smart
Actually, what
enough.
I would like to see is put your phone down with NFC. When you put your phone down,
Yeah.
take your photographs, just puts it on the table, does a visual jukebox of photographs.
Well, or pulls your
slideshow,
playlist, right? It will pull your playlist if
exactly.
you had it.
Exactly.
So, this is just a start. So I think in the sense of, I understand what a lot of people don't have game rooms, right? Like Glenn, myself, Doug. So maybe they only have a pinball or only a Legends Ultimate. So I can understand the jukebox feature, but for me, it makes no sense. And I just like to harp on it. I know. I just like to harp on it.
Come on. Come on.
But I think it would be cool if they did embark down a table and do it the right way. And I understand Arcade 1-Up is doing it, at the beginning. I get it. It's 1.0. But come on, man. Come on. Just do it. So, PK, if you're listening, you got a lot of room in that snap down bar on the pinball table. Put a charger in there, like Glenn said, and make it so that it pulls your playlist for that jukebox feature. That was free.
Android only. Android only.
Oh, well, it probably would be Android only. I hate to say it because it's hard to work with Apple on certain things. So,
true.
Overall, I think we got all of our questions answered, and I hope the community was able to get their questions answered.
Yep.
Anything else that we missed, guys, that you think that stood out? Doug, anything that we missed on this?
Just really harkening back to the fact that if you want this, go after it, because you're going to have slim picking opportunities in 2020. So the moment you see any of us talking about the pre-order date or pre-order link, something like that, make sure you jump on it, because otherwise you're going to miss your window and you're going to have to wait for those restocks in 2020. It's nothing like AtGames doesn't want to sell you this table. It's just the way that logistics and supply chains are going in 2020 right now. So pickings are going to be slim in 2020. Get it while you can.
And he's not going
to. And it's completely my fault. It's my fault that slim pickings, because my Star Wars yoke is being manufactured right now. And we had to push AtGames to the side to make sure my backers got their Star Wars yokes. So once my Star Wars stuff is done, which should be shipping out this week, then AtGames can come into the manufacturing and get the space that they need. So I'm sorry, everyone. It's my fault.
Well, he won't say this, but I'm going to say it for him. So everybody needs to follow Doug, because Doug is a ninja in finding pre-orders, because I'm just going to say that. I don't know how he does it, but he does it. So you need to follow Doug, subscribe to him. Make sure you do that, because he usually puts it out there right when you need to. So
I just want everybody to be able to get access to the things they want. So, I'll do my best to keep everybody in the loop and the know. The moment I find out, I'll make sure everybody else knows.
Just make sure we know first, so we can get our pre-orders in
there you go.
before it's sold out.
Refresh left, refresh right. Refresh left, refresh right.
That's it.
So, well, guys, we really appreciate you watching this video. And I know it's a little bit different than most people deliver for this type of content with announcements, but we wanted to take the time, roundtable it, get the answers from everybody. So we'll probably talk more about this on the Retro Buzz on Friday. But make sure you head over to youtube.com/cooltoy, subscribe, give him a like his videos. He's got a lot of good stuff coming out. In fact, he just dropped the video. It wasn't very long ago. A couple hours ago, I think, that it came up
Dreamcast,
on my news
baby.
feed. Yep, your 4 new controllers.
Yeah, Dreamcast controllers. For if you're not a big fan of those behemoth controllers that the Dreamcast came with, then you got something that's a little more ergonomically friendly for your hand. So definitely check them out.
I think they were still smaller than the original Xbox controller.
That's true.
Yeah,
the
those were like holding a brick. And also this guy here, Mr. Glenn Planamento. Check him out, youtube.com/gplanamento. And you can also check out one of his many Facebook groups where I'm sure he's going to be talking about this.
And in this case, you want to join the official AtGames global fan page. And there's also the AtGames pinball fan page on Facebook. You definitely want to join them.
Yes, and you'll find us all there communicating with everybody and being excited just like everything else. So we really appreciate you guys taking the time to come on here and watch this video. I know it's a little long, but at least you got everything answered. Leave your comments below. We want to see it we'll check everybody's videos and see if there's any comments directed and respond to it and see if we can get more information for you guys. But we really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time for more of the Retro Buzz.